I want to thank the guys that got a big event going on tomorrow, Dynasty Diesel and Repair. They are having a dyno day over at their shop just out on the 52 highway. So Dynasty Diesel, thank you guys. And of course DR Auto Extras and Newton's Landscaping and Trenching. And we got a few more VIP sponsors that we'll get through to, but I think our next class is coming up.
Modified four-wheel drive. These guys run some hot rods. First one up, ladies. You're going to have to cheer for her. Angie Vanook is going to be doing the hook on this with the Maniak 555 cubic inches of alcohol snorting big block Chevy. Now, a couple things you want to look at. Most of these units do not run an air filter on them. They've got what we call a bug injector. And that is a scoop right up between the stacks on Angie's rig. There's 3 pink circles in there. If you watch those pink circles, when they're closed, they look pink. They're basically an anodized red color. Once she gets on the throttle, you'll see that pink disappear. That will tell you what she's doing with the throttle. Now these units, a lot of them are not supercharged, they're just alcohol injected. The reason for that is the blower motors, when they get loaded up, in other words, the sled is starting to drag them down, they lose RPM. When they lose RPM, the blower does not give as much boost. So a lot of the guys have opted to go with just the alcohol injection units, big cubic inches, tons of compression, and that in turn allows those motors to pull down a lot more. So they have a lot more torque and horsepower down at the lower RPM level. So this little S10 has been around forever. It comes out of the new racing team out of Wetaskiwin. Was originally part of the border pulling team out of Alsace about a bazillion years ago. Vanooks have done their magic to this. Another thing I want you to look at here is the exhaust. On any naturally aspirated motor, you gain the most horsepower and torque by collecting the exhaust on each cylinder. On each side of that 555 Chevy is 4 pipes going into one. Then you see the collectors on top. You see the blue coloring, all but the top 3 inches. That's pretty much a tuned exhaust right there. With the blower motors, they run zoomies. And those zoomies are a single pipe out of each exhaust. They don't care about it on a blower motor. The idea is stuff all the intake and alcohol you can into that motor by forcing it in with the supercharger. With the naturally aspirated motors, they tune the exhaust, and there's about anywhere from 14 to 17% more horsepower and torque available by running the collected exhaust. So that's just a little bit of trivia for you on how these motors work and what the deal's about. With this alcohol injection system, there's a big pump on the front of the motor, injects methanol into the nozzles that spray into the intake passages. Supercharging, a little different. We'll talk about that when we get to that stage. Right now, this is naturally aspirated, burning tons of methanol. And these guys burn almost double the methanol you would if you ran gasoline. But it's a cool fuel. In other words, when it evaporates, it cools. They can run a lot more compression without detonation. So, what can Angie do? Girls, we got to cheer her down the track here. When she gets going here, they tighten the chain. She's got the safety switch on the back of the truck plugged in. Her job now is to read that track, get on the throttle, and make it happen. And absolutely, ladies, you know how to do it. Four-wheel drive class right there. What do you say, ladies? 282. 44. She sets the benchmark. Now, what can the other guys do against her? You saw that big old Chevy buzzing. It was revving. She was going to get as much momentum as she could in that first couple 100 feet.
Yeah, that's that driving style we were talking about. To the floor. Just hammer it.
Gotta stay off the rev limiter, that's the only thing. Now we've got an Oliver doing this thing. Quite a difference here, Chris. And forward speed, this is about 0.8 of a mile an hour, whereas Angie was upwards in the neighborhood of about 21 miles an hour.
And the guy that's pulling here, Harvey Droder, he's the guy that put the antique pulling together. Gotta put on a show here, Harvey. Get that wheels in the air, Harvey. There we go. He pulled back the power booster lever. Woo! Yes, Harvey Droder. Nice little wheelie going there.
That means all the way to that two-wheel drive unit was on those back tires. We're going to talk a lot about that when we hit the two-wheel drive class here. And the modified two-wheel drive, Dallas's favorite class, that rates right in there with mine as well. Those guys are so cool what they do. So we'll talk about the weighting of a two-wheel drive versus a 4x. You see on Angie's rig, all that weight on front of that thing. Look at how the front tires are squished down. The back tires are barely touching the ground. When they got good hook like this, they have so much weight on the front, one adult can walk up and pick the back of that four-wheel drive up. The team does the rest. The angle of the team down to the sled, guys.
Absolutely. We got Yorkton, New Holland out there straightening the little ruts out that the Maniak team put in. And you know, we talked about the Maniak team. They are a huge pulling team out of Alberta. But one of our largest pulling teams out of Saskatchewan is LT Motorsports. Right here in Yorkton, Saskatchewan, ladies and gentlemen. Larry Hillworth, he's got a great group of racers out back there, and we're going to get to see him pulling along here too.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, I love this little hot rod.
You know, in 1982, I watched this truck, and you know who was driving it in 1982? Al Christensen.
We've had a lot of discussion about that. You're younger than I am. That means he's damn old too.
He's been around the sport, I think, since the sport started. And he's got a two-wheel drive. I like this one, but it's not my favorite. Al has a two-wheel drive one that we're going to see a little bit later on. But this guy, he puts on a show. 7 persons in Alberta.
638 cubes of Merlin Chevy. Now in the center of that, you see the collection exhaust I was talking about. There's 8 little gold funnels. That's 1 injector stack for each cylinder. Each one of those has a throttle plate in it. Each one of them has a nozzle that sprays the methanol in there. Again, an alcohol injected 638 cubic inch Chevy. Now Merlin is an aftermarket company that has done a lot of work with the original Chev design. And this thing is power. Andy still on top of it, 288.44L, 271.15.
Plum Crazy right there.
47 GM base motors. So Andy did a fantastic job so far against the seasoned pro that Dallas was talking about. We'll be seeing him coming back with a really cool race. Meanwhile, another little Massey, the Sassy Massey doing this thing here. We don't have the distances, but we'll record them when we get on soon. So 3:2:44 and smoothly down in Maniak, and 2:71. The Dallas Texas is different. There's quite a few more of these guys that have something to say about that. Track's been leveled, another Maniak hot rod. This time around.
This is an interesting one. In four-wheel drive class, this would be my favorite truck. Is that right? I like the color.
Yep.
I like the truck. And I like the story behind this truck.
Quentin Scott doing the following in this hot rod. You're going to be seeing his dad out here later with some major league cars. Quentin's been doing this 2 years now. Now this is a supercharged 427. There's a blower sitting in the middle. You can hear that whining sound. There's a big belt that drives, a big cock belt that drives that blower. It's like 2 gears. It's not a screw blower. This is a root style blower. So its job is to force the air and the methanol into the cylinders on that big 427. So as long as Quentin can keep the RPM up, that thing is going to scream. It builds a ton of power. Once the RPM drops off, the boost slows down and it dies. So a different configuration, same style truck. You see all that weight on the front end. And one of the tricks is there's a lot of weight on the left-hand side. If they weighted it all the way across, that puts too much weight on the right side because the twist of the motor adds a lot more torque to the right-hand wheel.
Pandemonium, and when we were down in Odessa, they were having a little bit of problem with some little valve that opens the fuel barrel valve.
So what that boils down to is, as soon as we shut that thing off, we'll let you know here, so you can hear what we're talking about. That thing's not running on these right now. We could have a wet spark plug or two also.
Yeah, they won't be happy with that plug.
That's not running on these. There, he shut it off.
And that's the thing with this racing, ladies and gentlemen, this tractor pulling. You don't get to do a lot of practicing. This is your practice track right out here. So you got to do your tuning and get everything right. The way this track is going to handle, the way the air is, these big high horsepower engines, air does make a lot of difference. So if the air is fat or got lots of moisture in it, sometimes they don't get it to run that great. But they'll get her back, they'll get her tuned up, and tomorrow they'll put on one heck of a show.
They'll get it firing on it again. What Dallas is talking about is corrected altitude. So if we're sitting at 2,000 feet, we'll just say that's a fixed altitude. You get a really hot day, there's way less oxygen in the air than there is on a cool day. So that means they got to drop the fuel back. Now, you also take the barometric pressure, the ambient temperature, and the grains of water in the air. All those affect the amount of oxygen in there. Once they get a corrected altitude, that in turn will tell them where to set their barrel valve, and that's where the Pandemonium brake had the wrong tune, but it wasn't firing on 8. There was something missing there on a couple of cylinders. That was about a 6-cylinder pass.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's got his helmet off right now. Show him some love.
Yes.
Once again, I want to thank some of our VIP sponsors that are sitting over there on the other side. We got AAA Directional Drilling, Logan Stevens for the Zoom Boom. They're got the counter on there. And of course, Harvest Meats, Saddles and Steel, this awesome sound system that we're using here today. Once again, let's thank the Bailey Boys Towing. We brought in a few of the antique race or tractors that we're pulling here today. Assiniboia Valley Trucking, LT Motorsports, Big D Farms, Home Inn and Suites, and Federowich Construction. And Federowich, they did an awesome job of Broadway. We can actually drive down half of Broadway without hitting a pothole now.
That's awesome. Gotta take a vote while this truck's lining up. Who's a Dodge fan out here? Let us know if you're a ramped up Dodge fan. Oh, there's what, 4 of you guys? 5 maybe?
One guy.
One guy. Who's a Chevy fan?
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Yes, okay, who's a Ford fan?
Oh, what the heck?
Look at that. Well, you guys have a look at this, Hot Rod.
You must have been paying money at the gate for the Ford guys.
He must have been. Fix Your Repair Daily, Ford Fun Race.
This is a beautiful Ford, though, I will admit.
Yes, found on reservation dump is the other one. But this is an awesome Ford, you guys. 638 cubes of Ford Hemi. Back in the day, Ford did build some Hemis. Boss, 429s, they were a Hemi. This has Hemi heads on it, the Ford version of that. Grant Bruin out of Winkler, Manitoba. A 79 Ford with a 638 cubic inch Ford Hemi under the hood of this 4-wheel drive. He's got to hang a licking on 282.44. A 295, 97, almost a full LTM full.
Sounding as sweet as a church song, I tell ya.
It is. So, yes, the big Hemi, he got lots of power speed. He's up about 27 miles an hour in the middle of that track. So that big old Hemi laid some power down without a doubt. He had the right amount of weight on the front. Again, you see those front tires all squished down, the back ones barely touching the ground. Grant knows this track. He was telling me a little earlier, he do know, been here before, so he knew how to weight the front of that truck. So, we'll put a Ford on top. Angie Manouk was number one. Now this big boss, 638 Ford is coming up as number two.
Good old hard tugging down right there. Look at him. He ain't giving up. Oh, now he's moving again.
Some more traction, yes! Can we cheer him on? Let's go, Eddie, let's go!
There's the John Deere people out there.
Bill Mauer. Look at this old Johnny. Come on down. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going.
He's pulling out tree stumps now.
Right on three is looking at this thing going, what the heck? I can't stop this hot rod. He's still popping along. Oh, there we go. Yes! Woo!
That's awesome.
That is an awesome hook. That big old AR doing a heck of a job there. Now, Dave McCully on a Pigeon Lake. This truck was bought on the internet. And it had a fairly bad motor. Turns out one shaft was about his sediment. Now he pulled the motor out of another pulling unit he's got, threw it in this thing. Greg Dan Summer is going to be doing the piloting of this hot rod. A 1932 Chevy instead, I think it's kind of like a 42, with a 540 cubic inch big block Chevy under the hood of this hot rod. So this will be the first hook for this thing with this motor configuration in it. Now he has a heck of a road to beat here with Afternoon Delight, that big Ford Hemi with a 295.97. To get number two, he's got to beat Angie Manouk and Maniak with a 282.44. So he's going to have his work cut out, but here's some popping in the exhaust already. That doesn't necessarily sound the way it should. Again, an alcohol injected 540 cubic inch Chevy. We're going to see where this ends up. Dave is just working on learning this game. This is his, I believe, the third year that he's been messing around
And
with
this is the first time I've seen this truck. It's a good looking truck. Nice old school unit.
And it is old school. It uses some really heavy duty diffs. He's got homemade rims on it. And he bought it for the right price on the internet. Now that motor is not running on me. Pretty good. Not so bad at all at 255.16.
Midnight Express.
Poor old Chevy's been around the track a million times, but that motor is not firing on 8 all the time. You hear that popping in the exhaust? That occurred right off the bat. So, back to the pit, a little more work. We'll pull the spark plugs out. We read those plugs. You can tell by the discoloration of the cadmium on them as to what kind of tune is on there. You'll know right away what's missing. That almost sounds to me like
They'll get that thing figured out. Oh, they will. Now the next guy coming up, ladies and gentlemen, if you've got a program, flip it open, count of inches. This guy is our points leader in the races this year. This guy's been taking winning hooks all over the place, and this is one bad Ford.
So we already saw Ford make a heck of a pass here with that big Hemi. This is Brent, how do you say that? Schwenking, I believe, out of Alexandria, Minnesota. And one mean Ford, for sure. So you Ford guys, all of you that cheered for the Chevy, or the Fords, this is another one here. We saw what that big shotgun Hemi could do. And he laid down a pass that put him in #1 spot. So can we be beat by this? Meanwhile, we got that big supercharged Oliver coming up again. That 2-stroke Oliver has got a blower on it. Now looks like Brent's unit, or Brett's unit I should say, is alcohol injected. Collected in glass, big old tunnel ram in there. We're going to find out here. Tunnel ram is a solid intake manifold. Again, you see the attitude on that truck, meaning the angle of the body. The front is way down, lots of weight on the front. These guys fall into a weight class, and they can't weigh over that, but they can transfer weight between the front and the back. And I guarantee you, everybody's putting every ounce pretty much on the front differential here to get that even load on all 4 tires.
Well, and Yorkton, New Holland is doing a heck of a job keeping that track in shape so they can put the horsepower down.
And it's working. These guys are getting some good hooks here. So I'll get some fire in the hole on this thing. There we go. Now we have to beat it 295.97. We down by the mid-97. As planned. But that puts him in #2 spot, moving Andrew Gnuck into #3.
Which will still hold them good in the points lead.
Absolutely. Second place.
Second place gives you good points in the points lead too. We got races all over with this group, ladies and gentlemen. We were in Morris, Manitoba. We were in Thunder in the Parkland. We're back here in Yorkton after many years of being away, and I understand that this is not going to be a one-time thing. We're coming back here next year for our race series again, so we're really looking forward to it. Always enjoy it here in Yorkton.
Obviously, and thanks, a huge thanks to all you folks in the stands here, back in the VIP side. Thank you for coming and joining this event with us tonight. I know Dallas and I, we couldn't do what we do without you guys being here.
It would just be you and me talking, which would get pretty boring. Guarantee it.
That it would.
And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, to get your 50-50 tickets, you can win a chance to go for a ride in the Big Red Express with Billy Cole out of Bonnyville, Alberta. And you can win yourself some cash. So if you win that ride, we'll put your ticket right back into the draw drum and we'll draw for the cash. So that's about 3/4 of the way through our event. Make sure you get your 50-50 tickets. We're going to take a little intermission a little bit later on, and we get to go for another ride in the monster truck with our friends from Medicine Hat, Alberta, with the Rabbit monster truck. And they'll be giving rides then, and they will also be giving rides after the show. And after the show, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to open up the pits. We're going to invite you to the back, and you can come and see all of these trucks and tractors up close and personal. You get to visit with the drivers, get some autographs and some photographs. So we welcome you to do that. Right now we got Yorkton, New Holland leveling out the track and getting all that clay back down so we can put another Ford to the test.
And what a Ford it is. 66 vintage. Love the looks of this hot rod. A 645 cubic inch big alcohol injected Ford in the middle of this foray. Tough row to hoe here with the big numbers laid down, Dallas. 295, 97 by Afternoon Delight. Tweety 674.
Yeah, I know. It was a Ford.
Yeah,
And it laid down one heck of a pass.
But we're going to see some pretty potent Chevys and some big, mean Hemis coming out of here.
Yeah, the two-wheel drive class is still coming. Two-wheel drive class is coming. And you know, you'd think the four-wheel drive class would be like a top truck class. And it is a very competitive class. And they put on one heck of a show. But the two-wheel drivers, when their wheels are in there, nothing better.
You got it. You got it. So, out of Winkler, Manitoba, a good-looking little 66 Ford. Or a 645 cubic inches of Ford under the hood of that hot rod. You see all the weights across there again. Now it looks like he's pretty much balanced his weight. That could be the way he's designed the chassis. We talked about that earlier, about putting more weight on the left-hand side than the right. When they put it on the scales, they can run a left side weight percentage. The torque of the motor tends to lift the left side up, add more power to the right. So you want exactly the same weight on all four tires.
Definitely a science to it, eh?
So much so. And it varies with the air, like we talked about, and it varies with the hook on the track. The moisture is staying in the track. These guys are getting some awesome hooks here.
And this is a good running truck. So ladies and gentlemen, plug your ears for this one. Time I got the throttle stuck on that thing.
That was not a good thing, but he was wise enough to hit the kill switch. 276.48 did not get the center track speed. Some of these guys are getting up 23, 24 miles an hour. He hit 21.4.
And he dug some holes. They're going to have to get to work with New Holland tractors to fill in them holes. Some of those holes are big enough that maybe Ron could hide one of his Hyundais in there. You know, with the price of fuel going up and up, ladies and gentlemen, you got to get into some of those little cars. One of the safest built vehicles out there are the little Hyundai cars. And so head on over to see Ron and the staff at Yorkton, the Hyundai, and they will get you hooked up. Right now we're using the little New Holland to pull out, passing time out of a couple of large holes that they left behind.
That's why the flagmen do what they do. If you notice, we haven't talked about that yet, Dallas, but you see the lights on the sled. He's got red lights on there. When he's ready, he turns the green light on the sled. The flagman down at this end flashes the green flag when everybody's good. That's when the competitor can launch. If there's somebody on the track or something causing one of these guys to say no, that stays red and the competitor can't launch. So that's kind of how it works. Took a bit to get that hot rod going. They got him moving now.
Yeah, it was like you were talking about earlier. Momentum will get you far.
Yes.
Momentum will get you far.
And that was the case here, unfortunately, for this rig. He did not get the center track speed that some of the other guys are getting with the big horsepower stuff. We almost ticked 24 miles an hour there. And that does move you down the track.
Yeah, and you know, I haven't really seen that truck do a bad run. That's the first kind of hiccup that I've seen him run, and that truck is very consistent, puts on a good show every time. So that's your four-wheel drive class, eh?
That is it for the 4x. Now we're going to change sleds. See the mini sled lined up there? The big sled's pulled off to the side. We're going with mini tractors. These guys are a blast. They have lots of horsepower. There's a couple classes here, and they do make some power. Their rear wheel speed on some of these gets up there. They spin like crazy. So one of the things to watch for on these, they are not supercharged in this class we're going to be seeing right now. But the difference in rear tires. Dick CPEC is one of the companies that builds the pulling tires. Most of four-wheel drives use the CPEC type puller tires. They have like what's called a chevron pattern on them. Those lugs are approximately 1/4 inch deep, just a titch more than that. Some of the others use Firestone puller tires, and they run a modified agricultural tread. Some of the guys throughout the years have run a full-blown